The way I do Zoom, usually we do Monday mornings at 10 o'clock, review the week. Today we're gonna do probably a little more than that. Go through it. If you're not speaking, mute yourself. Hello. Let me see. If you're not speaking, mute yourself. Who's not muted? Oh, there, somebody's not muted. There we go. So I think it's good. But the other thing that the way I work with Zoom is if you have a question or want to say anything, just unmute yourself and interrupt me. Because once I go into the pages, I can't see the Zoom myself, so I can't see your hands. So that's a little bit different than in the classroom. So don't feel like it's any rude or anything. If you speak into me, it is totally fine. That way I can make the class move because I can't look at chats while I'm talking, and I don't have usually somebody who helps me with that. So just speak up when you have something. So I assume, hopefully, you all found Canvas. Is that correct? Anybody have trouble with that? No? Okay. No, nobody speaking up means everything is all right. Otherwise, just say something. I'm sorry, it took me a little longer to get the class in. It's a large class, and they had to increase the size for me, so it took them a little bit extra time. And I'm just published the first few weeks, and I want to go through it. I want to explain to you sort of how the class works and what kind of assignments and so forth that we have in this course. This course is designed to be fully online. It is asynchronous, meaning you don't even have to come to the Monday meetings if you don't like to, but I record them so you can view them later on. It's good to have a few people here in the class on Monday. Besides previewing the week, we also end up having some integration time with each other, good to ask questions and just go a little deeper in the material. So it's a fairly decent format. I also am fine with meeting with people other times. I have a Zoom link that we have as a class link that we can just meet and do some tutoring or meet up with each other and do some work study or something like that. Later on in the semester, we have a pathology presentation. We can use the Zoom for discussing things in a group. We do have a optional in-person lab section or sessions, and we don't do all of them, so we don't meet till week 4 in the in-person part. And then when we do the musculoskeletal system, we meet there, and also when we do a few dissections. But this is it's optional, it's not mandatory. The material is all online. The only thing is the people that want to transfer with COVID, there has been sort of the thought that, yeah, the people who transfer to UC, they need to have an in-person part of the labs if it's sort of traditionally used to be an in-person lab. But you can ask me later about those things and we can talk. It's a very nice way of doing it. We had last semester, I think we had like 10, 15 students each time. And so it gives us another way to have tutoring and go into more detail in the material and so forth. Whatever I lecture, I record and videotape. So if I go in the classroom and we have a little lecture there or a little more integration time, I'll make videos of that as well, and unless I forget once in a while. But that way, even if you're not able to come to the in-person, you will not miss anything other than the tactile experience and the dissections that we do. We do a few dissections. We dissect a sheep heart, a sheep brain, a sheep or cow eye, as well as a kidney. And so we do 4 of those things. We do those in class, in person. We have the new terminology. So is that pretty clear? You guys have any questions to that so far?
Well, question, I just want to clarify, make sure I'm right. You says the in-person optional lab until the 4th week, we can only have the optional.
No. We don't meet until week 4.
Got it.
And then, so that gives us also time between now and week 4 to, like, you can ask me to be part, be not part. We can make sure we organize everything right. They, you know, and so I'll be reaching out to you guys and sort of get a count who likes to be part of it, and then we'll figure it out as we go. So it should be,
Okay,
last semester was pretty it worked out pretty well, even though it was the first time, so everything was a little bit, you know, not quite organized yet. But yeah, do not go up to the lab for week 1, 2, 3 in the beginning. All right, does that make some sense?
Yes.
Good, good, good. Anybody else? If so, just speak up, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to go right and share my screen with you, if that's good. And again, if any question comes up, just speak into me. So can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Yeah, that's always good. If somebody gives me a verbal, then I'm good. Because I'm usually see the whole screen. I don't see you guys in person. So if you open a course, well, if you go to the dashboard, oh, look at that. I can't go to the dashboard like that. That's weird. Let me leave the student view. I'm not sure what that's all about. You guys been able to get into this part of the course so far? This far or not?
I'm in now. I'm
Okay.
able to view the course.
Okay,
I'm
so
able
good.
to see what you see right now.
Perfect. So it is open and everybody should be able to have access to it, unless you're not in the class yet. Some people are,
Right.
they need to get in, but we'll get them in. So if you have a beginning page here, that's me. Hello. That's you click here, all these underlined things are links that you go to. You can go and you see how to connect with me. Basically, you send me a text. It doesn't have to be complicated. I like to do text stuff as far as the communication is concerned. Make sure you communicate with me if that's not good for you, but that seems to be the majority of people seem to like that. A little hello video, you don't really need to listen to that. That was actually in the fall. I didn't figure, I couldn't get it all together to make a new one. But we'll go through the stuff today anyway. When you have here, you have a few links. You have a link that goes straight to the modules. Then you have a link that goes to the syllabus. And then every week we have a Zoom, so that link is going to be there. And then we also have some study tools that I created, but we'll go through those now. Then this link down here is a link that goes into a Zoom room that's there 24/7 for you guys to use. And so if you guys say, oh, let's go do some study, and we want to do a little group study, you all can just enter that Zoom link, and then it goes, to that room that you can share the screen with and so forth. I think the only thing that is not capable of doing is recording somehow. And I'm not sure technically why that's not possible yet. Anyway, I have some announcements sometimes, but the announcements show up here on top as well. So if you go to the homepage, you usually see the 3 of them posted. If I put one up, I don't use them that much, but you can also go to this link and go straight to all the announcements. Then the main tab you're using is probably going to be modules. So you go into the modules, and those like chapters, sort of way it's organized. I open now the first 3 weeks. We'll go through them, and let's start with the top here. The first is learning tools. I have created a page that I explain to you sort of study tips and how we study and how we learn. I'm very happy. I really like this guy, Ken Robinson. Listen to this. We have an activity around it. And I'm a big proponent for flashcards, especially in a topic like anatomy and physiology. I'm not a person that wants you to memorize blindly stuff, but still, regardless, anatomy is a lot of terminology, and flashcards are a really good way of putting that stuff into our brain and have good recall for it. My tests are all open book, so you don't have to really worry about memorization as much. Although, of course, if you don't learn these terms at some point, it just becomes overwhelming. But I'm very interested in having you guys organize your material well, that you can use this stuff later on too when you continue your studies, whatever studies they are. So instead of memorizing terms, I'm rather interested in you having the material well organized, that during the test you can access this and understand it. I have created all the material before we went online, or I created it all in a booklet format. So all the material that you have, the lectures have booklets that follow. I do have to, I can't just give those because there's a lot of printing involved. So I do have to ask $125 for those. However, they're not mandatory. Everything is online. It's really just to enhance the studies. They used to be part of the course, but it's sort of a little add-on at this point. I just don't want to not have them because some students really get great help from them. It's really nice to have a physical piece, a physical medium versus just electronic stuff. But, you know, everybody works a little bit different. If you have questions about that, just reach out. I'm a text away. So then we have a class orientation module. Oh, and any question you got, speak up, okay? Do not hesitate. We have a class orientation module where I introduce myself, how to connect with me, how I talk to you. We are very big in diversity. We have an activity around that. I try to make my course very equitable, that everybody's welcome, that we also think about some biases, some stereotypes that we have, and, you know, and share those things. We're trying to make these courses really accessible to as many of us as possible, and talking about diversity and biases is part of that, because people get shy if they've been bullied in the past and so forth. So we want to sort of talk about a little bit of that and do a little sharing. I'll show you an activity that I created around that. Of course, help me improve the course. I made this course based on asking the students how to make a course. And so over the years, I've been doing this about 20 years, over the years, this material sort of collectively got together, and I always ask, how can I make it better that you understand it better? And the majority of time, it's, you know, a few things that stood out. One was, you know, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And so describing things in a written format, especially if it's a visual medium like anatomy, and it's very difficult and challenges for a lot of us, not just if we're ESL. I myself have test anxiety and learning ADD, learning disability stuff. So I'm very aware of a lot of those things. So if you have something, talk to me and help me make it better. Then the next thing coming up, here's the syllabus. I think we'll spend a little bit of time on the syllabus. That's a fairly big thing where you find most things that you need to have. So the course description, what do we learn here, is about the human body. I try to make it so it's as real life based as possible. So when we do talk about chemistry, I'll have you do an activity where you go to the store and look, or in your cabinet, and look at food labels and read the food label a little bit and learn what the chemicals in the foods are. So try to make it not just some theoretical class. When we start talking about the skeletal system, I'll have you do an ergonomic evaluation of your workstation, because, you know, we're doing this stuff online, so we're sitting a lot, et cetera, et cetera. My information is here. You probably have most of this already. Again, we're very big on including everybody and not be exclusive. We want to make everybody feel welcome. That includes on an online class that we know how to talk to each other. So there is an etiquette rule, or an etiquette is like, how do we behave? And an etiquette, I guess that's coming from online probably. We have an activity around that, so you don't have to go read this here. Then we have resources. Make sure you take advantage of those. I tried to get school resources here as well as Alameda-based resources, because, you know, the inflation and all that, we need to make sure everybody can get fed. If we don't have food, you can't think. If we don't have shelter, we can't really do the school stuff easy. It's really hard. Also, technology is important. So if you don't have a laptop, we have a Chromebook lending program. Yeah, that the school gives you a Chromebook while you're in school for no cost. Just lend it to you. Also free or low cost internet. It's very important to be able to access internet. Now, this course you can take on your telephone, which is kind of cool, but, you know, it's not, still makes it a little harder than being on a computer or on a laptop. So if you would like to get help with that, do go to these links. Also reach out to me. I'm sure we can figure things out. Library, tutoring sessions, center. Make sure you know, if you have questions, reach out to me. I'm here for you. I'm here to be your coach in this course. So, you know, don't get too frustrated. Ask me questions and we'll, you know, call or text, or I'll send you a link on the, or we go on Zoom, anything like that. A little more about the material again. We did that already. Then learning objectives. This is more like school stuff. So if you read this, it's like whatever, blah, blah, then don't worry about it. It's basically, what do we study? This page indicates to the powers that be, what do we do in this course? Grade determination. I'm sure that's important for everybody. So the course is based on many different activities. And so after we get exposed to the material, and we don't do that in the classroom, we do that on videos, and I'll go through those, I'll show you. After that, we have questions. And so every lesson has questions light behind it, and they're looking like they're a quiz. The format, it's like a question, you click on it, and then at the end you submit it, and you get how many do you get right and all of that stuff. The cool thing is you can take those over and over. So it's sort of a way to massage the information that you're listening on a video that you have some write-up about, and then you process it by going through those questions. So those are some part of the grade. So look at that, 15% is just purely busy work and you processing the material. Then we have discussion boards. A lot of times we talk to each other. I want you to write something, or to make a video, or to make an audio. That's another thing that is really important. We're trying to present the material in multiple different ways, but I'm also trying to give you opportunity to be creative and do your work in multiple different ways. You don't have to write 150 words in a discussion board. Now you can if you want, but for some people that's not easy. And then it becomes like, oh my God, I have to write versus what do I actually do? And so I will describe that in the directions as well, but don't be too concerned about that when you fearful, like, oh my God, I have to write a lot. And so we want to make it so it's about the topic. Later on in the course, we have a pathology project. We're gonna do that when we get to it. Then we have also lab activities. We have many things we do. A lot of the material, when we have terminology, we do labeling and coloring exercises. Then I also have health kit integration exercises. That's like when we do chemistry, we go to this, we read some food label and do a little bit of integration of the material that way. Some of the dissections, if you're in the classroom, there is some points there, but if you're not, it is not giving you any punishment. I balanced it out so you don't have to worry about that. Look at that, practical process, oral levels. I should be a little bit more descriptive on that, but we'll go through them anyway, so you'll get a hang of it. Then we do tests, and the tests are a third of the grades. There are 3 tests that I do. They're again open book. The first test is a multiple choice, true false kind of test. The second one is an anatomy terminology test, where I point to structures and you look at a list and you write what it is. By the time we get there, you'll be fine with that. And then the third test is the last test, and that's those types kind of combined. We're combined in 2 formats. None of the tests are cumulative. So everything is like, we do a section, you take a test, then we go to the next section, and you think of that, and you don't have to go back and remember the order.
Professor, this is kind of random, but do you have like a poster that breaks down the anatomy and stuff on here, or like you think that's a good idea?
What?
Like a poster of like a human body or something. I don't know. I just noticed every time I go to the doctor, they always have stuff like that, and it breaks down.
Oh yeah. No, we'll get through some of those pictures. Yeah. Let me. I'll I'll go through the first sort of, I'll show you how I structure the stuff when we get it there in a sec. Hold on, let's see.
Okay.
Attendance policy means you got to show up, meaning you got to be doing the work, basically. That's the attendance here. Course outline, this is just all the weeks. So the first 3 weeks and the first exam I published. And so we're working on that sort of, you know, small nitty-gritty stuff that's like chemistry or cells or tissues, so it's small. And then after that, we go into the muscles and into the bones, and we'll do a lot of that. That's where we go into the classroom. That's the optional in-person labs. And then after the muscles and bones, and I'm a chiropractor and a body worker, and so by my regular job. And so, of course, muscles and bones are sort of where I shine a little bit. And so make
Cool.
sure.
Can I ask you about a hyaluronated disc after this?
Sure, no problem.
Okay.
Absolutely. We can just stay on at the end. No problem.
Okay.
And then we do a test of that. That's that practical sort of more. In the classroom is like you walk around in stations and stations, and on the online I made videos and pictures, and so it works out pretty well. People do pretty well on these tests. And then afterwards we go through the rest of the body, the heart, the cardiovascular system, immune system, endocrine, brain. We spend a bunch of time on the brain and the spinal cord, nervous system a few weeks. That's really a cool thing too that I like a lot. I do a nutrition when we talk about digestive. I do a nutrition class, so we have just some baseline nutrition knowledge in there as well. And we finish up with repro, and then I do an embryology section. So also I feel that's important that we, especially the guys, need to learn a little bit more about this baby stuff. And so it's good too. Then the ladies don't have to always explain it to them, you know. So I put one in there so we have a little input for that stuff. So that's good.
That'll be very beneficial for them.
Say that again.
I said that'll be very beneficial for them.
Right. So, you know, what you can do is you do, you know, I show you how you make sort of your own anatomy book a little bit. But then after that, we do finish up the exam. That's just the last final week, and that's the end of the story. Then we're done with that. Hopefully we'll learn a lot. Syllabus disclaimer. Yes, there might be mistakes, and I'm sorry about that. So that's the syllabus. Then we have a little, if you have more Canvas questions, how to navigate Canvas. So there's some videos in there, some links that you can go to. Again, you can also reach out to me, and we just do it amongst each other like that. Student resources and support. This is more, Syllabus has it too. This is more like help stuff for you guys. If something comes up again, you can also just reach out to me. And then Studio, using Studio, that's a program within Canvas to make videos. And so that's something that I have a link here that sort of gives you tutorials a little bit how to do it. But I also have an activity in the first or second week where I have you make a video, because I want you to kind of know how to do it. And it depends a little bit if you do it on a phone or if you do it on a computer. But basically you can, especially like through the phone app, you can make a video using your regular phone and then upload whatever you have onto Canvas. So it's really not fully necessary that people work with Studio. I think Canvas would like everybody to use the Studio. It's a little more integrative. There's a few tools, but it's not necessary if it's technically just not that feasible. We want to try to not have these technical things be a hindrance to really have a good time in a class. Oh yeah, it's supposed to be a fun experience. Learning is supposed to be fun. I just gave a lecture to the merit faculty about equity in the classroom, and you know, if we don't spark you guys' curiosity and interest and creativity, the learning process is really it's really kind of hindered by that. And so yeah, of course you have to work hard. A class like this is a big deal. It's a 4-unit class, and a college rule book kind of thing is for each unit lecture you're supposed to study 2 hours on your own. And so a 4-unit class really you should be spending about 12 hours a week on this material. And you know, some people are faster, some people are slower, I try to make it so also if you have a period of time, you can work a little more. I'll try to open the chapters so you can work a little ahead of the time. And I open assignments. I open all the assignments for the first 3 weeks. So you don't have, the due dates are different, but they're open. So if you want to work ahead, you can. Yeah, it is sort of college-wise is that we do spend a fair amount of time in this class, but it's supposed to be fun. So let's just go right to it. So each week is organized in a fashion that I have an introduction, a learning section, an applying, and then a lab. The applying and the lab are sort of interchangeable, but it's a lab class, so we have to have both in there. Each beginning, the weekly preview is what we're doing right now. And then after that, I'll post it there, and then you can go in there and you can listen to it again, or you can, if you weren't here, you can go in there and get it. I also usually send out a text with the video link on it once I put it on YouTube. Then each week has an objective page where you can see what you have learned, what can you do after this week. And here it gives you all the, look at the first week looks like nuts, but these are all small things, so don't get too freaked out. These are all the activities, so if you've gone through the week, you can make sure you checked everything off. Again, most people probably don't really go into this page too often because everything is all spelled out of here as well. Normally, the learning has just the videos, that page with a little camera. I try to use emojis so they look similar. In the first week, we also have an etiquette lecture. So I want you to go through this, a few slides, read through it. Just how do we talk to each other? So we're not, social media has brought out the devil in all of us. And so we got to make sure we're nice with each other and not just crazy because we can't necessarily see each other in person. Then the presentation of the material is always done in this format where I give you videos. They're all captioned. These are voice over PowerPoint videos. So down here, it shows you how long they are. So they are sectioned. They're about 10, 15 minutes each. And then there's, of course, multiples of them. But then the other thing, what I did is here, I linked it so you can just go to YouTube to a playlist in case you don't want to go, or in case you just wanted to listen to, some people listen to these lectures. I don't know. Some people are good auditory. They just listen to it when they go walking or in a car or somewhere instead of listening to music. So you can go right here to the whole list. And then also I'm trying, and I've got the first few weeks done, but it's hard to do transcripts, but I'm trying to have everything transcribed. I mean, all the lecture videos transcribed. So you should be able to have the text in a written format as you go along. Some people really it helps them follow the videos. I have to work hard because they're really hard to do and I'm sort of running behind. So I might not be able to do the whole semester this time. And then each week also is a full lecture that I gave in class before COVID. So somehow I was lucky enough to think I'm recording myself the whole time to make my lectures better. Of course, I never looked at them, but they're all lectures have an in-class lecture. Well, the last couple chapters don't, but most of the class is also having an in-class lecture. So some people prefer that because then you're sort of like sitting there, you just can't ask any questions, but I'm interactive, not just with the computer, but with the class. Again, of course, those are a little longer because there's just one video of those. And you can also go to the playlist on those. And then after that, I have all the main concepts in bullet point formats with these tabs. And so as you go through the videos, ideally, you maybe have the videos on a phone or on a tablet or something, and then you have this material, the bullet points with you, because this is the text that shows up in the videos. And so you can go to these. If you're on a mobile device, it just comes all together, and so it's a long list, but I like it in a tab device because then it's not so overwhelming. And so it's not so long, these things. And then see what you can do with this stuff. You can, for example, screenshot it and make your own, screenshot it and copy it into a Word document, and then you have your own anatomy booklet. And you can create it that way. I also have an activity that I want you to go to Google and look for images, because that's how I made my lectures. I just Googled everything and figured out, hey, one of my kids has an auditory processing problem, so they can't necessarily put words into what it is. It's very difficult. So when you say blue, they might hear glue, and so that's when I realized, it's really not a medium for words anatomy. It's really a medium for pictures. And so I want you to think about it that way too a little. Especially most of us are either kinesthetic or visual learners. But anyway, the whole everything is again presented in this format. So you have a video, you have a transcript, and you have then the text with pictures that you can learn from. And so that's always the same concept. And then after every video, I have, and this is a further look, I'll show you the next week. In the next week, it's more organized. See, you don't have the etiquette, and then you don't have all these activities in the beginning. Then you just go right to a questionnaire. That's the questionnaire. So let's go back to here. So here the questionnaire is a little bit further down. But see, this is the thing for technically, this looks like, when it looks like this, it's a quiz format. And so in a quiz format, in a quiz format, you get the presented material in these, these questions like that. And then you click and you answer it that way. Sometimes you write in, sometimes there's matching. But the good thing is you can take those over and over. So you don't have to worry if you don't get it, because you can see the answer afterwards. Or at least I design it that way. If it doesn't work out that way, make sure you text me. You should be seeing the correct answer that way, and then you take it again, and then you get all the points. So this is something where it's really on you if you don't get all the points. A brief thing about my late work. So what I've done in the past, I have not given late penalties. The problem is I do have sort of a way that the class works through the weeks. And if people get too far behind, they sometimes, it's really hard for them to catch up. So each activity does have a deadline or a due date, and that's right here. So next week, we want to have, on Sunday, we finish up the stuff from week 1. And then, or we do the first, we finish up week 1. And then the following Sunday, we finish up week 2. And so if you're missing the due date and you're late, the program will take 1% off each day that you're late at the maximum of 10%. So if you're 10 days late, you get 10% off. That means you still have a 90% correct if you get them all right. So you don't have to worry that this late is going to penalize you too heavily. It's just sort of keeping everybody on track, but you're never going to lose more than up getting a 90. And that's when after 10 days late, you don't get more deductions after that. And if somebody, is having some lates, I can always take those out in the back too. Of course, if it's like, making a difference between a grade, we're not going to be trying to be mean. It's just that way the majority of us are sort of on target and are timed properly. Also, every questionnaire, so I'm back to those questions. Every lecture quiz has a video or 2, except the last 2 weeks, I think, that solve the quiz. So if you actually have a hard time, I solve the quiz in a lecture. I used to do that instead of lecturing. I just used to do integration sessions at some point. And so you can actually watch a video and solve the quiz that way. And I have no problem with that, because it doesn't matter how you're studying it, but by the time you watch this video also, you definitely process the material quite well, I think. And so that's every week works like that, or every chapter works like that. You have the lecture, and then you have the integration questions. And then in a few other repeating activities that I have are discussions. And here we have some understanding concept discussions. The first few weeks have those where you are, as you go through the lecture, you are prompted with a few questions, and I want you to answer those questions a little bit more in detail. You can either make a video, or you can So you can make a video or you can write some stuff down. The 100, 150 words, that's just a ballpark. As long as you answer those questions, we're fine. And I don't need all paragraph. It's not an English class. It's an anatomy class. So it's, you know, we can be a little relaxed about that. All of the discussions, the first initial post, I want you to do Sunday. And then that's that deadline. That's like next week is for week 1. And then I want you to review some peers, because in understanding concept, also, if you don't understand something, and I think I write it in here, you say, you know, that was really hard. I didn't get that. And then you can learn from somebody as you read some other people's posts. You only get to see the other people's posts once you post first, because otherwise, what's the point of having you know, everybody? Otherwise, everybody just copy paste each other. And then you read some peers, and I want you to respond back to 2 peers generally in a discussion. And I want you to do that no later than 1 week after the due date. So like for this one, it's like the first week you answer it, and the second week you reply. You can do it all at 1 week, but that way gives you plenty of time. Because some students end up, you know, do all the work on a weekend or are finishing. And if I have you do the initial reply by a Friday, some of you guys are not able to do that because many of us has multiple jobs. And so I want to make sure I give you enough time. So that's something that always sort of repeats or discussions. And the first few are understanding concept discussions. After the first test, I stopped with those. And then the first week, and then after test 1, every week has labeling and coloring exercises. And so that's how we work the anatomy terms. And so in there, you of course, you have directions, but with all of those, you can annotate directly on the computer. You can download the picture and draw on it or do whatever you want with it, and then or solve it and then take a picture and upload the picture. Or you can just freehand it, do what you like, copy this over, and then take a picture of that. So you have multiple formats how you can submit this stuff. As long as you're doing the work, as long as everything is there, I want you to tap into your own intelligence, because some people are making flashcards and then they take a picture of the flashcard. And I'm fine with that, because then you're already having your study tool if you like flashcards. Every activity has a rubric. In the activities that are like the assignments, the rubric is at the end. In the discussions, on top right, you have 3 points and you dots, and you click on that and you get and you can go to the rubric from there, because the discussions are long things, so it doesn't make sense to have that rubric at the end. All right, so that's, oops, leave this page. So that's all of the ones that have this in the back are labeling and coloring. And so then week 1 has a few additional things. So first, I want you to read an etiquette lecture, then make a contract. Say, I will obey by these rules. So then later on, if I do, once in a while, I got some rude folk here and I have to put them in line. And so I try to minimize that because it's not pretty. And you know, sometimes we get a little frazzled because it's stuff that's new, it's hard. And so we just want to have these rules of how to talk to each other. Then I would like for you to update your, look, I don't even have my student one done. Update your personal profile. Many of you probably already done that, but I have a little activity. So you put a picture up there if you want, or an avatar, and you describe a little bit of you. Again, the words is sort of a ballpark figure, you know, do follow these prompts. And so that's number 1 for that activity. And then number 2 for that activity is I want you to go to look at the diversity page and talk about a sort of stereotype about yourself, ethnicity, other things that you belong that you'd like to debunk. You know, like for me, it's like people with an accent are stupid. When I first came to America, like, oh, he can't know anything. He has an accent. And so, of course, now it's a benefit because a lot of us have accents. And so that was hard. At first, that was tough. And of course, that's probably a fairly minor one compared to other people. But I made a little video of myself, introducing myself. So I wanted to do something like that as well. And then post it. It's a discussion forum, and then post it, and then learn from each other, read a few of each other's and respond to them, and have a little connection, community building activity around that. So that's just this week. That's a special one for this week. Then also, this is the first time I'm doing this. College takes time, and I have students that are 16, 17 years old, and planning for our studies is not easy. And so I want you to make a little plan of when are you going to spend time with me and study this stuff. And sometimes it's easy because you can people who live at home or so, they can post it on a wall and say, like, look, this is the time my professor gets. You can't make me do housework. Because, you know, they're all in the room. We have to create boundaries around these things. And so I want you to think a little bit about study planning and, you know, do one of those things and give it to me, or take a picture and upload it. That's that. Not too much, just a little prep work. And then what else we got here? We did the questions already. And then I have a discussion on the study tools, which was that first tab. So I want you to go, and there's a link. I want you to see there's a link. I want you to go read that page, look at the video, and think a little bit about how you're going to study for this class, or how you prepare. Like, you have a space where you can study, you like music, you put some lavender on, a candle or so. So just think about that a little bit. So that's also sort of a preparation activity. That's that. We talked about that. And then I have these really weird things, these health kits. And so, again, when we do chemistry, we go read food labels. But when we do skeletal, we do ergonomic. When we do muscle, I have an injury prevention. So when you learn the muscles of the lower legs or the legs, you do squats and figure out which ones burn. I mean, of course, if it hurts, you don't do the squats. But that way you learn what the muscles actually do, because the ones that burn are the ones that make sure we can stand upright against gravity. And so I want to teach you some of those things that I've also, you know, picked up along the way when I'm working on people, on patients. And so the first one we're going to do is a lifestyle assessment and habit creation. And so this is actually a fairly big one. This goes about for 3 weeks. I want you to read through. What I'm trying to do here is, you know, we're studying our body, and one of what I want to do is I want to give you guys as many tools as I can so you can take good care of your body, or better care. I'm not assuming you're not doing that already, but I just want to tie the anatomy together with that. And in part, it's because the medical system is extremely complicated, and as we know, not necessarily accessible for everybody. Yeah, talk about accessibility and equity. They're sure not doing a good job in medicine. But the more you know about how you work and what's going on with you, the better questions you can ask the doctor. And guess what? They have shown not that doesn't just improve medicine you receive, but it improves medicine for the whole community, because the doctors also have to think. And we all have, the brain turns off a little if it's repetitive, the same thing. And so I want you to think about things that you can change. That's not necessarily your genetics, but that's things like, how do we eat? How do we think? How much stress do we have? How do we sit? Oh, and I'm totally crooked. How do we do some walking? Are we actually, or just couch potatoes? So those are the things we can change. We can change things on a chemical, on an emotional, and on a physical level. And wellness, yeah, wellness is fine. But what I'm more interested in is the word morbidity. And morbidity is a word that means feeling well or feeling sickly. Actually, it's more feeling sickly. And so that's not dead. That's not mortality. That's morbidity. That is, how do I feel? How well I am. And when we look at that, then these factors become a major player of how we can change how we feel. And I want us to go through a few of these. Well, I want us to go through 7 aspects, little video there, that I came up with the lifestyle assessment here. I want you to think a bit about how your posture is, how your food is, how you digest, and there's all write-ups here for all of them. Hormones important, exercise, stress, thinking, that's important. And then for all of these 7 things, I want you to give yourself a grade, a 1 to 10. How am I doing in this? And just be honest. You don't have to really share with anybody. It's just really about you. And then that gives you a score altogether. You add on all those and that gives you a score. And then after that, I want to talk a little bit about habits, because if we want to change anything in those 3 areas, we got to know how to do that. And the habit loop is kind of cool, how we have a trigger to something, we have an action, we have a reward. I'm smelling coffee, I want my coffee, I'm feeling awake, kind of thing. Or, it has, I wake up and my shoes I'm falling over my shoes. I realize I got to put them on. That is the trigger for me to go for a walk. Wow. Then I feel like all kind of flowy the whole day versus everything hurts. And so that's the habit loop. I'll talk a little bit more about that in here. And then what I want you to do, I want you to think about when you fill out that lifestyle assessment for yourself. I think there's one part of the activity where I want you to go through this loop with one of the habits that you either want to create or shed. Oh yeah, I don't want to drink that coffee. Then it's a little bit different. And then I'm going to have us do a health challenge. For 3 weeks, I either want you 5 days a week, exercise 30 minutes or walk or exercise. You can dance. Doesn't have to be walking. I just do the walking. Drink, or you don't have to do all of them. But you can, but you don't have to. So either walk, do something physical, or drink water, do something chemical. And 2 quarts of water is about what we all should drink anyway during a day. So it's not really anything excessive. Or I want to, some of you like to meditate or so. I want to work on doing something emotional, do like 10 minutes meditation a day.
So
And
it's the other or all 3?
Huh?
One or the other or all 3?
One or the other.
Okay.
You just pick one. Otherwise it gets, you can do more, obviously, but I want to make sure it's not, too crazy.
Not to laugh with my business, but I actually require meditating and exercising every day. So I
in
just
your
have
business or what?
Huh?
Say that first part again. You're doing that already?
Yeah, I'm working on meditating for my mental health. I haven't learned any techniques yet, so hopefully I can learn some things.
Yeah, we
But
can pick
I can work out today from 8 to 9.
There you go. So that's good. So you're just tapping in what you're already doing. Because then what I want to do is I'm going to create group texts, like, I don't know, about 8 people in each. And then after each time you do it, and again, those 5 days a week, not 7, but because it gets a little involved. But at each time you do it, I want you to send your group a text, say like, hey, I did my exercise today. I feel so-and-so. Or I finished drinking 2 quarts of water, and damn it, I had to pee all night. It made me feel blah, blah, blah. So you did it, and how did it make you feel? And so that way we do a little group dynamic, number 1. And number 2, we also have ways to sort of learn from each other. Like, with meditation, we can give each other tips. Or I like Headspace, for example, and they have a student discount thing. It costs me like $20 a year or something. And so there is definitely cool things, and we can work with each other and help each other create those routines a little bit. And then after 3 weeks, we do that, the 21-day thing of creating a new habit, or we're doing 15 days, but it's within 3 weeks. And after that, I want you to, and that comes later. Then after that, I want you to do the lifestyle assessment again, and just the score pre and post, and then reflect on it, and we have a little discussion about it. Does that make sense? Good. So that's sort of one of the activities this week that's a little bigger. And then here at the end, I tell you what to submit. You know, you submit your initial score, the habit you pick to practice reflexing the loop. And again, and those maybe pick one that you okay with talking to people about. And then what routine are you going to do one of those 3 things? And then that's your upload. And then you write that in the text box or take a picture of what you wrote on a piece of paper. Make sure I can read it if you handwrite things. But other than that, I have no problem with having handwritten notes. Good, good, good. Any questions to this?
No.
Good. And that's all down there described again in the rubric. Good. And then last but not least, I know this is a long session. Usually we're trying to be done in a half hour. Every week, there is a Padlet at the end. This is a Padlet. You click on this button and it gives you, and you write something. And you write, what did I learn? A win. I learned this week. I was interested in this, or I didn't learn this. I'm really confused with this. And then we can help each other, you know, finish up sort of the week, sort of loose ends. And I'm also reading these heavily because I learned from you guys a lot of how the course is going with those. And so each week we finish that up as a little Padlet thing to just sort of final thoughts of the week. And then the last piece here is congratulations, you did this, you did all these activities. Most people never really go and look at that. It's sort of a completion thing that we're all kind of know what we're doing. And then at the end, I have a resource page that I put a couple resources up. It's going to be growing this semester. I had more input for videos. But one resource that I have there is an OpenStack textbook, and that's a free anatomy textbook that you have a link. I mean, it's online. It's not, you probably pay some $35 or whatever dollars to get a hard copy of it. But that's a link to an anatomy book that I take a lot of the pictures from, because this is a free resource and there is no copyright problems or anything with that. So that's always there. And then the other thing that I have here is a link to a UC Berkeley anatomy course that's done by Marion Diamond, who used to own Einstein's brain, or had it in her possession. She passed away, but she was teaching till about 2007, I think. And one of my patients is at the Regents in Berkeley, Board of Regents, and he said even when she was in her late 70s, she was like the queen and had, you know, commanded that stage. And so she is as fantastic as we can get it. If you ever want to take it further, she draws everything on the board. And it's just a wonderful experience if you want to really see a master at this craft. All right, good. So I think that's it for sort of the weekly setup. Any questions come to mind?
Yes.
So I know I just blabbered at you for an hour. So sorry. All right. Well, if not now, then
I had a question about the book that you offer. It's $125. So basically that book is I don't know, it just has everything that you're going to be teaching this semester that'll correlate with with your lectures online.
Everything. It has also all the handouts that, like the lifestyle assessment I have in a booklet, the little all those activities as well, and has all printouts that you need label and coloring for as well. It's all printed out.
Okay, thank you.
And if you're interested, just reach out, shoot me a text, or give me better text than call. At least at first, we can call offline afterwards, but often I don't pick it up.
We have a question.
Yes.
Hi, I have a question about the book.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on one second.
If EOPS is covering my cost for that.
How does that work?
Yeah, we're not quite finished with them at school, so I'm not sure I can talk to Ron Nelson potentially about that. It's through him, right? You're working through him? I met him Friday.
Yes.
Yeah. And otherwise reach out to me personally. We'll figure out something how we're going to.
I'm sorry, reach out to who? This
Ron
is the interpreter.
Nelson, the disability specialist.
He's the student accessibility counselor. He's my counselor as well. I just paid $125 cash though, because I didn't know if I could use my ELPS book voucher for that.
Yeah,
So
and you can't really. It's not really set up that way, unfortunately.
right.
That's the problem with it.
Okay.
But, so we do have to find a way. But unfortunately, that's in the process of being figured out how to do that.
Well, that's why I got a receipt, because I will get reimbursed through CalWorks.
Well, there you go. So you got a system. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Then maybe you can, is it Marquise?
Marquise, yes.
Marquise, sorry.
It's
Maybe you can help us who need to figure that out in the background, and then I have a system as well for that.
Okay.
Okay, super.
Dr. M, can I ask a question?
Mhm.
My name is Hong Li Chen. My show's as Hong. Anyway, so I might have missed what you said earlier that about the test. Did you say the tests are open book test or closed book test, or how that carried?
Huh? They're open book tests.
Okay, and we
So
take
you
at
use
our
the
own
material.
pace.
Well, no, they're definitely timed.
Okay.
I try to give enough time for them, so that the time is not a constraint. Actually, I got to make sure I add some time on the first test, so that shouldn't be a problem. But then it's an open book test, so it's really about you organizing your material.
Gotcha. Thank you.
But I'm more interested in it understanding than memorizing, personally.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Yes, we have Quintosha. Hi. Hang on one second. I'm having trouble. Give me 1 second. Let me.
I had a question about tutoring,
Mhm.
at the biology tutoring, one-on-one tutoring.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Through the tutoring center?
Yes. But for me, and
Mm-hmm.
for us, because we're deaf, we
Mhm.
really want to make sure that the tutoring, that we understand it completely, right? So we would need to make sure that we have accessibility for the tutoring center.
So I gotta reach out to Isela. I think she's the main person. And also I'll connect with Ron Nelson about that. And otherwise, maybe we make a tutoring thing with me directly, and you guys get an interpreter, and we organize that offline. That's probably the easiest at the end, I would think.
Yes.
So I will reach out to Ron, and we'll work it in the background.
Okay, sounds good.
Good. Anybody else? Well, if not, I wish you a wonderful start of the week. And
Wait, the hyrenated disc.
yeah. Stay on. Yeah, stay on at the end, but not the whole class needs to stay on for that.
Okay.
But yeah, if you have anything, just reach out, shoot me a text, and be in touch. I want to make sure this process is smooth for you. I'm expecting to be spending some time with you, showing you the ropes. So don't hesitate. All right, I'm your coach. Good. With that, I wish you all a wonderful week. I'm going to stop the recording. Bye.
Thank you.